You get a notification on your phone that a package has been delivered, only to come home and have to play a game of hide and seek just to find where the delivery driver left your package. So I came up with a solution. Today we are building a little house, if you will, something similar to those little free libraries, so that now my delivery drivers know exactly where to put the packages every single time. Now this problem may be unique to us because we do live down a long dirt road on some property in the very rural part of Tallahassee in the northern part of the state of Florida. With so many packages being delivered to our household these days, it's creating kind of an issue. So a few years back, we had one UPS driver that came, sporadically whenever maybe around the holidays when we ordered more things online. But with nowadays ordering more and more on the online basis, there's more delivery drivers that are coming into the property. So the next step would be to put up a gate at the end of our driveway just before the entrance of our property. So I thought right here at the end of the driveway, just before the gate, would be the perfect spot to place the box, or the little house, if you will. But first, let's head to Lowe's and gather a few supplies. We needed to get some 1/2-inch plywood, and then some paint and some caulk. And then we had Lowe's cut the piece right there so that we could fit it in our car, but it also worked out perfectly because now they are 4 feet by 4 feet sections and they're ready to work with. So you're going to notice a special guest on this particular video because, well, this is going to go outside in front of our house, and it needs to be structurally sound as well as look appropriate for our neighbors to see. So my husband is helping me today. He is the professional here today and will be helping me put this entire thing together. We figured out a design, and what we figured was in this 4 feet sheet, if we just cut it in half, we'll have two 2 feet sections and then another two 2 feet sections for the sides. So we figured out the peak, and he cut it out with a circular saw, something that I am not comfortable using just yet. He needs to teach me just a little bit more so that, I just feel a little more comfortable with it. While he was cutting those pieces out, I went ahead and gave the window that we're going to use as a door a good scrub, but not too hard because most likely there's lead paint in here, and that's something you don't want to disturb, and that we're not trying to disturb it in this case. Then we went ahead and he cut the sections for the sides on the table saw. From there, we're going to go ahead and we're going to measure where the door is going to be so that we can cut the hole. Now, this is where he made it nice and square with a tool versus, eyeballing it like I probably would have done, to make sure it is perfectly centered and straight so that he could cut it nice and perfectly straight. Something I probably would have used a jigsaw and it would have been all janky and not good. So I am very thankful that he was with me today. It cut my time in half. We were able to get this built in an afternoon, and I was ready for paint the next day, which probably would have taken me at least a couple of weeks. From there, now we're going to assemble all the pieces. So we have a front and a back and 2 sides and a bottom. I'll get to the roof in just a second. But each section is glued and then nailed in place. And I'm using liquid nails, which is for water or weather, outdoor use. There we go. That's the words I'm trying to say. You'll see me struggle with the nail gun a little bit because this is his nail gun and it's got a heavy battery on it. And my shoulders it was just a little bit too heavy for me, and the height was just a little too high. So you'll see me struggle for just a little bit, but we got it together. This is also where having him there to help me came in handy, because there's no way I could have held all these pieces together and then nailed it at the same time. You needed an extra set of hands for sure. So if you build this yourself, try to get a partner if you can. I could see one of these little houses as a little library for your packages, for any number of things that I could think of. You could even turn it into a little dollhouse if you wanted. And you certainly could do a solid door versus we're using an old window so that I could see when the packages are there. We don't have a problem with theft in our neighborhood, so I'm not worried about people seeing that there are packages in there. I just need to know it's all in the same place every single time. Now we'll go ahead and glue and nail that back on there as well. I was a little extra handy with the glue, so just going to need to wipe it up as you go along. But there it is, complete without the door or the roof yet. So he cut a couple of pieces of wood to use as the rafters on the top, and then we're using fence pickets for the roof shingles. And again, he's measuring things to make sure they're all straight, and you know, I probably would have eyeballed it. But anyhow, and then we added some trim on the front, you know, like a house would have. And then some trim around the doors and sides as well. But first we added a little bit of tar tape or window barrier, I think he called it. Basically, it's weatherproofing the top just to add a little extra protection. He had a little piece in his truck, so he took it out to give us just a little extra weatherproofing, if you will, so things don't get soaking wet inside. I was concerned about critters and crawly, slithery things getting in there as well. That's why I wanted it as airtight as we could get it. So we glued and trimmed, or glued and nailed all the pieces of trim around the outside as well. So you didn't see any of the plywood edges, as well as it sealed it all up. Do you ever have issues with your packages being left in strange locations? Or is it just me? I know with us having kind of an open property with lots of wooded areas, it does get confusing for the delivery drivers. And like I said, with having so many different ones, um, each particular carrier doesn't know exactly where to leave things. So I get it, but I just wonder, does anyone else have that problem? Or maybe you have a theft problem. I know that in neighborhoods that are more congested, theft might be a huge issue. So you certainly could add a lock or a, maybe a keypad or something, and then you put in your delivery instructions the keypad for the delivery driver. That way it keeps your packages safe. Also out of the rain. We've come home to them soaking wet sometimes. After we added all the trim, we went ahead and put in the hinges so that we could add the window as a door, and we just checked it for swing, and we're ready for paint the next day. So it's the next day, and I was in the process of actually taking down this paint booth, and thank goodness I didn't, because it started raining this morning when I was going to start to paint this. So we have a little protection, and you probably can hear the drips coming down as I'm talking, but we're just going to caulk up all the seams everywhere around the entire piece. And then we can go ahead and put some primer on here. I'm going to put some of the Ben shellac primer on the top pieces where there's all these big knots and things so that they don't bleed through the paint. I'm using the quick dry paintable DAP acrylic and silicone caulk so that I can go ahead and get this painted fairly quickly. We want to fill the nail holes in every single crease all the way around, and then of course wiping with a rag so that we clean everything up and don't have too many you don't have all those little rubbery caulk lines around. Now we'll just go ahead and apply some Ben shellac primer. Like I said, I want to put this on a lot of the areas were fence pickets that we had cut, or it was a 1x4 that we used. And so I want to seal in any of the knots and things so that we just don't get some bleed through. And I cleaned out the inside and put a coat of primer on the inside as well. I like to use a chip brush because then I can just throw this out, because the cleanup, well, it's not great. You have to use denatured alcohol. So I actually, on my way out from picking up the paint, there was this Ovation paint from Sherwin-Williams in the mist tint section, and it's a light color. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and use that. So I'm just going to pour it in my sprayer and give everything a base coat so that I have a base to put the next step on. And my sprayer was already hooked up. Like I said, I was in the process of taking down the sprayer from my last project. So if you haven't checked that out, go back and check out the desk that I did. I taped up all the windows and everything as well. I'll have a link in the description to all the products I used, as well as a few of the videos that I'm referencing. But all right, this is supposed to be the fun part. This is where we're going to add all the color. And usually that's where I shine. Usually that's the part that comes super easy. But with this particular project, I want to rein it in a little bit, and that's the hardest part for me. At first I thought I would do something similar to the other pieces that I did outdoors, you know, with the Talavera style, or maybe some Mackenzie Childs style, but this is going to go at the end of our driveway. We only have 2 other neighbors, but I don't want to go too over the top with this. And I need to get it out there as quick as possible. It is the beginning of November, so that means that packages will be starting to roll in here pretty soon for Christmas, and we need a place to put them. So the first idea I had was to paint this a light blue, do white trim, make this, you know, wood colored, keep it really simple. But then I was like, I need to do a little something on there, right? Like, can't just be blue, like the color of my house. So what I'm thinking is blending maybe some yellow into blue with a little green at the bottom, and then doing a really oversized cone flower or echinacea flower on here, because that grows around here a lot, and it would look, you know, kind of like a wildflower out there in the wooded area. So it'll stand out enough for the delivery driver to find it, but also not be too over the top. So I'm going to start with one that kind of comes up over the side here, and then along the back do like 3 of them, and around the side. We haven't agreed yet on where to put it exactly. I thought we were going to put it in one spot, and my husband had a different idea. So when he gets home tonight, we're actually going to decide the final place. He had some good points, I had some good points, and we need to just kind of come to an agreement in the middle. I had an idea of where the gate was going to go, and he has an idea of where the gate's going to go. So I think we're in the right general area, but that'll determine how much I do. So I'm going to start on the side, let it grow over this side, and then I'll put some rough idea of it on the back and then go from there. Since I'll be blending, I have 3 different brushes, one for each color, and a blending brush, and lots of paper towels, because we're going to need it. Okay, so we'll start with the biggest color first, which is this blue color. I don't even know what I mixed this up for. Um, I couldn't tell you what colors it is. We're just going to say it's a blue color, and it was the closest to the color of my house. So you want a damp brush. That's why I have my brushes in the water, and I try to get as much of the excess water off as possible. It helps the paint go a lot further, plus it keeps it smooth and it keeps the paint wet also, because that's what is important when you are blending. I'm using the color Daisy at the top, and that's what will be blended in. I was trying to give like a glowing sun effect onto, say, sky and then grass at the bottom. So I'm using a white to blend the two colors together so that I don't get a green color right there, because, you know, blue and yellow make green, and we don't want that necessarily. We just want that nice glowing effect. As I'm blending, I run my brush up and down across the two colors that I'm blending together, and then sideways across where the colors are together, and it just lightly feathers those colors nicely together. Now this is just our first coat. We will be applying a second coat as well, so I don't have to be exactly particular about, you know, it being perfect, but we just want a good base on here. I always do 2 coats of everything every single time, because you're going to want to touch it up, and you're going to want that extra durability. So I continued that blending effect all the way around the entire piece, even around all of that old window. As you may notice, I'm kind of doing a scooping motion at the corners, just so it doesn't look like such a stark line in between. I like it to, you know, when they blend together, you kind of have a seamless transition when you're blending colors. As I'm blending, I use a much firmer pressure in the beginning, and then as I go, it's a much lighter pressure to just feather those colors in together. So while that dries, I'm going to go ahead and grab a stool so we can do the glazing up here and make it look like cedar is my hope. Oh goodness, look at this. Why did I think I could do this without a drop cloth on the floor? What am I thinking? I'm using Dixie Belle's Van Dyke Brown glaze. This is water-based glaze, so you have to work quickly so that it doesn't dry before you wipe it back. But when I wiped it back, it wasn't the right color at all. So I went back and I painted the roof a darker tan color that has kind of a red tone to it. And then I took some of the gel stain in the color American Honey, and that worked much better. It's a little dark, but it's more the color tone that I was looking for. And then I'll go ahead and add the second coat of blended colors all the way around, and then I can perfect where I want everything to be. I also traced out the word packages, because that's going to go along the front. I traced it on a piece of paper, put some chalk on the back, old style, like, you know, like you did in grade school. And then I am just taking a fine brush and filling all that in as nicely as I could. I'll put it that way. Now I'm going to just draw out where I want those flowers to be with a piece of chalk. I'm basing in everything that every petal that there is. I'm using the color Cottage Door. It's a nice light purple, but it was getting late, so we called it a night Now the next morning it's 6 a.m. because I needed to get this done before my husband went to work so that we could get it up on the pedestal. So I got my tea ready, got all the paints ready, and started adding in some of the details. I was able to get this flower done before he got up and got the pedestal into the ground. And this was probably the easiest flower of the three that I put on here. It just went so smoothly and the colors blended nicely for me. Um, yeah, I wish they were all just that easy, but that's okay. It should have gotten easier as I went on, but maybe the half awakeness was my key. Maybe I shouldn't have been so alert when I did the other ones. Now I'm just adding a little terracotta color to the stamens for the center and a little darkness for some contrast. And I'll draw in the other two flowers that are going on the opposite side of the little house. I want the petals to crawl around to the front so that it looks cohesive. And I also learned that if I put a darker, this is muscadine wine, center, and then you go light versus light, and then dark, and then light again, was much easier. We're going to peel off all of that tape and get it ready to put on the pedestal. Like I said, I could not have done this without him, so I thank him to the moon and back. I so appreciate all of his expertise and his help because I couldn't have done this alone, that's for sure. Now I'm going to rough in all of the other flower petals. It's still quite early in the morning and it was a very brisk morning here. So I just roughed everything in so that the neighbors understood that there's actually flowers on this side of the little house as they're leaving this morning. And I'll come back in the afternoon to add the details when it warms up just a little bit. I don't know. Do you think this was too much? Would you have just done it blue and white to match the house? Or do you think the whimsy was just enough? Let me know in the comments below. I mean, where I'm located, I'm okay with it. If I was in a neighborhood, I might have a difference of opinion. Since we're out here and it's a very wooded area, the nice little pop of color and the little flowers popping out throughout the wooded brush and whatnot, I think it just adds a little whimsy. Plus, now they better not miss this coming in the driveway to make our deliveries. Wrapping those petals around the trim and then around to the other side was a little more difficult than what I thought they were going to be. And maybe that's why that first flower was much easier because there wasn't as much of that. I don't know, but we got it done. It isn't perfect. It never is, but I think it's perfect enough. Sometimes I have a tendency, like I've said, to go overboard and work it too much. So I just let it flow a little bit. Well, thank goodness it is done, at least to the point where I can clear coat it. I may outline this in white just so it stands out a little bit more. And I thought about, I was going to put a sign here with the house numbers, but I might put it right down here. I don't know. I got to get the knob on. And you may notice the glass missing still. forgot to get that at Lowe's when I was there. So we'll get that after. But that means you got to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a video. Hit that notification bell too, because I'll give you an update when I get the window put back in here. So I am going to spray it with some matte clear enamel so that it's nice and durable for out here. Now this is a much better experience to come out here and see our packages all in one place. It brings me so much joy to see this cute little box sitting outside of our driveway. Can you think of any other ideas that you could do with a cute little house like this? Do you need something for packages? Maybe you want to start that free library or a food bank. I've seen those as well. There's many things you can do with a little house like this, indoors or outdoors. Let me know in the comments below what you think you would do. Now this little house doesn't solve the entire problem, so you'll want to watch the next video where I solve the complete package delivery problem with a little mailbox makeover. It'll be a quick and sweet, so don't miss out. See y'all in the next one. Have a blessed day.